You're sitting there, and the thought comes, quiet at first, then louder, filling up all the space in your mind until it's the only thing you can hear. I can't do this. It's not just a thought. It's a feeling, a weight that settles in your chest and makes your whole body feel smaller. Your shoulders curl inward. Your breathing gets shallow. Your eyes might blur a little or fix on nothing in particular. Everything that was possible a moment ago suddenly feels impossibly far away, like you're standing at the bottom of a canyon looking up at a task that's become a mountain, and you don't have a map or the strength or even the first idea of how to start climbing. I can't do this. It echoes. It repeats. And underneath those words is something even heavier, something that feels like truth even though it isn't. The feeling that you're not capable, that you've never been capable, that everyone else knows how to do this except you, and that trying will only prove what you've always feared, that you're not enough. If you felt this, if you're feeling it right now, I need you to know something before we go any further. This thought, this feeling, it's not weakness. It's not proof that you actually can't do the thing in front of you. It's your nervous system sending you a signal, and we're going to learn how to hear what it's really saying and how to respond in a way that helps instead of hurts. When your brain says, I can't do this, what's actually happening is that a part of your brain, called the amygdala, has detected something it interprets as a threat. Now, this isn't a physical threat like a predator or immediate danger. It's a psychological threat. Maybe it's the fear of failing, of being judged, of making a mistake, of not being good enough. Maybe it's the memory of a time when you tried something and it didn't go well, and the pain of that experience is still stored in your body. Maybe it's the pressure you feel from expectations, whether they come from other people or from yourself. Whatever the specific trigger is, your amygdala doesn't distinguish very well between different types of danger. To your nervous system, the anxiety of facing a difficult conversation or a challenging task or an uncertain outcome can feel remarkably similar to facing a genuine physical threat. And when your amygdala sounds the alarm, your whole system responds. Your body floods with stress hormones. Your heart rate increases. Your muscles tense. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking and problem-solving and confidence, goes partially offline because your brain thinks you need quick survival reactions, not careful reasoning. And in that state, the thought I can't do this isn't a rational assessment of your abilities. It's an emotional reaction, a protective mechanism that's trying to keep you safe by convincing you not to try. Because if you don't try, you can't fail. And if you can't fail, you can't get hurt. But here's the painful irony. That protective mechanism, that voice saying I can't, it doesn't actually keep you safe. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you from growing, from learning, from discovering what you're actually capable of. And every time you listen to it, every time you let it stop you, it gets a little bit louder and a little bit more convincing. Your brain learns that when it says I can't do this, you believe it and you stop, which means you never get the experience of trying and succeeding, which means the belief that you can't get reinforced. It becomes a loop, a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the longer it goes on, the smaller your world becomes, and the more impossible everything starts to feel. And what makes this even harder is that alongside I can't do this, there's usually a chorus of other voices. Voices that say you should be able to do this, that everyone else can do this, that something must be wrong with you, that you're behind, that you're letting people down, that time is running out. These voices create a pressure that's almost unbearable. And under that pressure, your nervous system shuts down even more because it's not just dealing with the task anymore. It's dealing with shame and fear and the weight of feeling fundamentally incapable. So let's start right here, right now, with something simple. Let's just notice what's happening in your body. Not to judge it, not to change it yet, just to notice. Where do you feel the I can't? Is it in your chest, tight and heavy? Is it in your throat, like something's caught there? Is it in your stomach, churning or knotted? Is it in your shoulders, pulled up and tense? Maybe it's everywhere, a full-body sensation of smallness and heaviness. Just notice it. Put your attention there for a moment. And as you do, see if you can name what the feeling underneath the thought is. Because I can't do this is usually covering something deeper. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's exhaustion. Maybe it's the ache of feeling like you've tried so many times before and it hasn't worked and you can't bear to be disappointed again. Maybe it's grief for the person you thought you'd be by now, the life you thought you'd have, the ease you thought would come. Whatever it is, just let yourself acknowledge it. You don't have to fix it. You just have to see it, to say quietly to yourself, "Oh, this is what's here right now. This is what I'm feeling." And in that simple act of acknowledgement, something shifts. You create a tiny bit of space between you and the thought. You remember that you are not the thought. You are the person experiencing it. And that distinction, small as it seems, is everything. Now bring your attention to your breath, because your breath is always here, always available, always a pathway back to the present moment where things are actually manageable. When you're in the grip of "I can't do this," your breathing almost always becomes shallow and fast, up high in your chest, which signals to your brain that you're in danger, which makes the thought feel even more true and the feeling even more intense. But you can interrupt this. You can use your breath to tell your nervous system a different story. Breathe in slowly through your nose, letting the air move down into your belly. Count to 4 as you breathe in. Feel your belly expand. Hold the breath gently for a count of 4, and then breathe out even more slowly for a count of 6 or 7 or 8. Let the exhale be longer than the inhale. This is important. A long, slow exhale activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your nervous system that's responsible for rest and calm and the feeling of safety. It tells your amygdala, in a language it understands, that there is no emergency here, that you're safe, that you can come down from high alert. Do this a few more times. Breathe in slowly. Hold. Breathe out even more slowly. And with each exhale, imagine you're releasing just a little bit of the tension, just a fraction of the "I can't." You're not trying to make it disappear. You're just softening around it, making a little more room for something else to exist alongside it. As you breathe, start to notice the sensations in your body again, but this time with gentleness, with curiosity instead of judgment. Feel the surface beneath you, holding you. Feel the weight of your body being supported. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. Notice any sounds around you, or the silence if there are no sounds. This is grounding. This is how you bring yourself back from the spiral of "I can't do this" and into the reality of right now, this moment, where you're breathing and you're here and you're actually okay. The task, the thing you're telling yourself you can't do, it's not in this moment. It's in the future, and the future isn't here yet. Right now, in this breath, in this second, you're safe. You're whole. Nothing is being asked of you right this instant except to breathe and be present. And in that space of presence, the "I can't" starts to lose some of its grip because you're not trying to solve the whole problem or do the whole thing or be a different person. You're just here, noticing, breathing, existing. Now let's do something that might feel strange at first, but I promise it matters. Let's talk to that voice, that part of you that's saying "I can't do this." Not to argue with it or to tell it it's wrong, but to listen to it with compassion. Imagine that voice as a younger version of yourself, maybe a child who's scared and overwhelmed and doing the best they can to protect you from pain. What would you say to that child? You wouldn't say "Stop being ridiculous. You can do this. Just try harder." You'd say something like, "I know you're scared. I know this feels like too much. I'm here with you. We don't have to do everything at once. We can just take one small step and see what happens. You're safe with me." This is the tone you need to bring to yourself, to that frightened part of you that's trying to keep you safe by keeping you small. It needs reassurance, not pressure. It needs kindness, not criticism. And when you start speaking to yourself this way, when you soften the inner voice instead of letting it berate you, something remarkable happens. The nervous system begins to relax. The shutdown begins to lift. The "I can't" begins to transform into maybe "I can." Just a little, just this one small thing. Let's talk about what small means, because this is crucial. When your brain is in "I can't" mode, when your nervous system is in shutdown, you cannot think big. You cannot handle complexity. You cannot plan 10 steps ahead. Trying to do that will only trigger more overwhelm and more shutdown. So we're going to make the task so small that it becomes almost laughably easy. So small that your brain can't find a reason to be afraid of it. Not the whole project. Not even the first big step. Just the tiniest possible action. If the task is writing something, maybe the small step is opening the document. Just that. Not writing anything yet. Just opening it and looking at it. If the task is having a difficult conversation, maybe the small step is thinking about one sentence you might say, or even just deciding when you'll have the conversation. If the task is starting to exercise, maybe the small step is putting on your shoes. That's it. Not going for a run. Not doing a whole workout. Just the shoes. The step has to be so small that when you think about it, you don't feel the I can't rising up. You feel something else, something like, okay, I think I can do that. And then you do it. You do that one tiny thing. And here's what happens. When you complete even the smallest action, your brain releases a little bit of dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with reward and accomplishment. That chemical boost shifts your state just slightly. It creates a tiny opening, a small sense of possibility. And from that place, the next small step becomes visible. Maybe you open the document, and now you can write one sentence. Maybe you put on your shoes, and now you can step outside for 1 minute. You're not trying to do the whole thing. You're just following the breadcrumbs of what feels possible in this moment. One small action leading to another. And as you do this, as you move even just a little bit, you're teaching your nervous system something new. You're teaching it that I can't do this is not actually true. What's true is I can do this, just not all at once, just not the way I thought I had to. I can do this gently. I can do this slowly. I can do this imperfectly. And imperfection, gentleness, slowness, these aren't signs of failure. They're signs of wisdom. They're signs that you're working with your nervous system instead of against it. There's something else that's important to understand about the I can't thought, and that's how deeply it's connected to your sense of worth. For so many of us, we've learned that our value comes from what we achieve, what we produce, how well we perform. We've learned that mistakes are catastrophic, that struggling means we're inadequate, that needing help means we're weak. And so when we face something challenging and the thought I can't do this comes up, it's not just about the task. It's about what it means about us if we can't do it. It means we're not good enough. It means we're failing at life. It means we're fundamentally broken in some way. And that's a weight that no one should have to carry because it's based on a lie. Your worth is not conditional on your performance. You are valuable simply because you exist, because you're a human being with inherent dignity. You don't have to earn your right to be here. You don't have to prove yourself over and over. You're already enough, right now, exactly as you are, even if you can't do the thing, even if you never do the thing. And when you can start to separate your worth from your abilities, when you can hold the truth that you're valuable regardless of what you accomplish, the I can't starts to lose its power because the stakes aren't so impossibly high anymore. Let's also talk about comparison, because that's often what makes the I can't feel so true. You look around and it seems like everyone else is doing the thing easily, confidently, without this internal battle. They're moving forward while you're stuck. They're capable while you're struggling. And that comparison makes you feel even more broken, even more alone. But here's what you're not seeing. You're not seeing their internal experience. You're not seeing the days they felt exactly the way you feel right now. You're not seeing their struggles or their doubts or the times they almost gave up. You're only seeing the outside, the curated version, the highlight reel. And you're comparing it to your inside, to the full, messy reality of your experience. That's not a fair comparison. Everyone, and I mean everyone, has moments where their brain says I can't do this. Everyone struggles. Everyone doubts themselves. The difference isn't that some people don't feel this way. The difference is what they do with the feeling. Do they let it stop them, or do they acknowledge it, breathe through it, take a small step anyway? And you have that choice too. You've always had it. The I can't is just a feeling, not a fact. It's just your nervous system trying to protect you. And you can say to it, thank you for trying to keep me safe, but I'm okay. I'm going to try this anyway. Gently, one small step at a time. Here's what confidence actually is. It's not the absence of fear or doubt. It's not a feeling of certainty or invincibility. Real confidence is the willingness to try even when you're scared, even when you don't know how it will turn out, even when your brain is screaming I can't. It's built not through grand gestures or dramatic transformations, but through tiny acts of courage. Through doing the small thing even when it's hard. Through proving to yourself over and over that you're capable of more than you think. Every time you feel the "I can't" and you take a small step anyway, you're building that confidence. You're rewiring your brain. You're creating new neural pathways that say, oh, when this feeling comes up, we don't have to stop. We can keep going. And over time, those pathways get stronger and the "I can't" gets quieter, not because life gets easier, but because you've learned how to move through it differently. I want you to think about something for a moment. Think about a time, any time, when you did something that felt hard. Maybe it was years ago. Maybe it was last week. Maybe it was this morning when you got out of bed even though everything felt heavy. You did that. You've already done hard things. You've already survived difficult moments. You've already proved that you're capable, even if it didn't feel like success, even if it was messy or imperfect or incomplete. You have evidence, real lived evidence, that you can do things even when they feel impossible. And that evidence matters. That evidence is something you can come back to when the "I can't" shows up. You can say to yourself, I've felt this before, and I kept going, and I'm still here. I can feel this again and keep going again. Not because I'm fearless, but because I'm committed to showing up for my life even when it's hard. Let's take a moment to imagine what happens when you stop listening to the "I can't" and you start taking those small, gentle steps. You feel lighter. You feel a little bit of space open up inside you. The task that seemed impossible starts to reveal itself as just a task, something you can approach piece by piece. You make mistakes, and you realize the mistakes don't destroy you. You ask for help, and you realize that asking for help doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. You go slowly, and you realize that slow progress is still progress. You're building a different relationship with challenge, with difficulty, with yourself. You're learning that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy of trying. You're learning that struggling doesn't mean failing. You're learning that your brain's first response to something difficult is not the truth. It's just a signal asking for care and compassion and a slower, gentler approach. And as you learn these things, as you practice them over and over, your whole world expands. Things that used to feel impossible start to feel possible. Not easy, but possible. And possible is enough. Possible is everything. So if you're sitting there right now and your brain is saying, I can't do this, I want you to try something. Take a slow, deep breath. Put your hand on your chest or your belly and feel yourself breathing. Notice where you are, what's around you, that you're safe right now in this moment. And then say to yourself, quietly and with as much kindness as you can find, I hear that you're scared. I know this feels like too much, but we're going to try something different. We're not going to try to do everything. We're just going to do one small thing. We're going to be gentle with ourselves. We're going to move slowly. And we're going to see what happens. Not because we have to prove anything or be anything or achieve anything, but because we deserve to show up for our own lives. Because we're capable of more than we think. Because I can't do this is not the end of the story. It's just the beginning, the place where courage starts, where compassion begins, where you learn to trust yourself one tiny step at a time. You can do this. Not perfectly, not easily, but gently, slowly, one breath at a time. You've got this.